Thank you, everyone. Let's see. Welcome again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of the Online Presenters Toastmasters Club has officially begun. Please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have a substantial, relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. Keep in mind that all requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename to do so. Also, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording the meeting, taking pictures. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Now, please help me welcome, in place of our president who is away for the day, help me welcome our club vice president of education, Joni Laidlaw.
Thank you, our Sergeant at Arms, Dr. Sunny Fridge. Welcome everyone to this meeting of online presenters. I guess I can say it's officially started. Now we're going to have an excellent meeting, but just to make sure that our guests feel welcome, I can say thank you, David, for dropping the agenda in the chat. But let me just start by welcoming our guests today, Jessica and Mitesh. I also see Erica May and Hamida. Please stick around till the end of the meeting so we can find out from you how you enjoyed our meeting and what did you like. And please state in the chat whether or not you are available for being a part of Table Topics today. It is September, which means the dreaded news. It's time. Now, poverty is not one of my motivations, but something we all have to live through on occasion. It's just a reminder that we have that obligation to get through for this time. Now, for everyone, as you can see, smile for the camera. We're taking pictures for promotional information, and our Sergeant at Arms so nicely. There you go. I'm the grammarian, so I don't have to. See, David, that's why you should be our counter. That way, whenever you get, you don't have to ding yourself. So as we can say with a lot of excitement, today we are at 3 DCP points. For those of us who do not know what the Distinguished Club Program is, Toastmasters International judges a club success based on that. And so far, thanks to all of our work in the first quarter, can you imagine? We already have 3 points to date. We're in for a great meeting. Just to confirm, Andrew, are you back? All right. So if not, I'm going to ask our GE to do a round table for our second speaker, a round robin for our second speaker's evaluation for today. So she agreed to step in. And as such, we're going to give her a wonderful, exciting evaluation for today. Please help me to welcome to the virtual space the lady who is doing a project and going to demonstrate to us. By the way, she just completed her level 3 and is one of the reasons why we have 3 DCP points. Mining and industry and Toastmasters, but I know she also likes travel, is something that excites her, and she will be taking us through our meeting today to let us know how we're motivated. Please help me welcome Carolina Ramírez.
Good afternoon, good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How do you generate motivation in your daily life or work? We use language for things that are kind of abstract, but motivation, if you want to boil it down to something, is basically your energy levels, your excitement levels, the desire that you have inside of you to do something. If you have a job that doesn't connect with you, that you don't like, it's very difficult to stay motivated in that circumstance. So the things that you have to do in those situations is to find something to be excited about. You have to find something that you can learn from the situation. Even in the most boring, mindless job, there's going to be something that you can learn about yourself or about people. For example, you can learn about their psychology, you can learn about things that you don't like about people, or maybe you can learn about yourself and things you don't like about yourself. When you are excited by something, you learn it at a very high rate. When you're not excited, it takes much longer to learn. So find something that excites you inside. If something excites you but has nothing to do with your job, spend your spare time exploring it. Then when you're at work, you can start thinking about it and maybe even bring books with you if you have the ability to do that in your job. Love, excitement, and energy are all parts of motivation. And you're not going to be motivated if you don't like what you're doing. So you have to find something in that job or whatever it is that genuinely excites you. And that is the theme of today's meeting, motivation. The tip of the day is a section where a member of our club gives a tip about tech, technique, or leadership. Today, the person in charge is David Carr. Please welcome David with a round of applause.
Okay, thank you, Carolina. Yes, today you're getting tech. So I thank you to Jim Barber, who actually gave a shout out for the website solution I promote earlier. And this is actually covering that material. Actually, it's really a response to one of the reasons I've been given why people don't want to switch, is because they spent years working on their Free Toast Toast website. Free Toast Toast is the default website that most Toastmasters clubs use, and converting over to WordPress might be some work. So now I've got an import tool to demonstrate quickly, and I will try and keep it short. But the way you get a toastmost.org website, similar to the online presenters website for those who are here for the first time today, is you come to this page, you fill out a form. This is toastmasters.org homepage. You pick your starter design. A few minutes later, you should get an email saying that your website is move-in ready. But when you come to the website, it's just going to have generic information. It doesn't have anything here that's really about your club. And there are two ways that I suggest to get started. There's either a setup wizard that sort of walks you through some initial choices about how you want your website to be set up, or you can use this tool to import from a Free Toast Toast website. So I put a lot of work into this, and this should work. If it doesn't, then that will be exciting too. But I'm going to just copy and paste the address to that website. Excuse me. So I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to click submit. And in a few seconds, it should come back and tell me that it has imported a bunch of material. So I've got my home page has been imported. Some images have been imported into the media library. So we can see that a bunch of images from the home page and from some other pages have been imported here. This is Yeah, this is from, let's see, which one did I do? I meant to do this one. It doesn't matter. If I go and click through, I can now see what my website looks like in this format. Should get rid of the coding view, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is the imported content. The images have actually been imported into the site, so I can use them elsewhere in the site. Some of the content didn't come through quite perfectly, but I can click this little button just to upgrade it. And then from that point, I can use the WordPress tools to add a little bit of fancy formatting. So maybe I'll have a few pixels worth of a border on this. And any other custom pages that have been created will also be imported as drafts. There is a way also of importing an agenda into the site. And I won't take any longer than that, other than to let you know that this is available, and it will give you a head start on setting up your site if you're trying to preserve some good content. Oh, there was one other thing that I wanted to make sure to show you. In addition to the home page, we brought in the meeting information and directions page, which most clubs have. And we'll see that it's imported a little bit of code here. But if I actually go out and publish this and view that page, I told you something was going to go wrong. There we go. View the page. And well, that's interesting. That's not what I expected to happen. What am I doing here? I will leave it there for right now. There's some demo confusion going on here. Is actually that's the page from the wrong site. So I was playing with a couple of different imports here. At any rate, this will speed up the process. And if that's your reason for not switching over, this will save you some work.
Thank you very much, David, for that tip. One of the things that I love of our club is our website. It's very practical and easy to use. Today, I have a team that will be helping me with some duties, and one of them is the timer. Sunny Fridge, please explain your role.
Thank you very much. Oh boy, speaking of issues that I have, thank you very much, timer or Toastmaster of the day. As I look for my timing cards, the speeches for today are 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, you will see a green signal. At 6 minutes, you will see a yellow signal. At 7 minutes, I will share the red signal. At that point, you will want to wrap up. You'll have 30 seconds before you go over time. For speech evaluations, the time is 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will share the green signal. At 3 minutes, I will share the yellow signal. And at 3 minutes, I will display the red signal. At that time, you have 30 seconds to wrap up. In table topics, 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, the green. At 1:30, the yellow. And at 2 minutes, the red signal will be displayed and you should wrap up. Hey, guest, if you can, try to stay talking till at least you see the green. And I will give my report as needed in the chat.
It's 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sunny, for that complete explanation about your role. The eye counter today is Alison Blakeman. Alison, could you explain your role?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the purpose of the eye counter is to count words and sounds that are used as a crutch or a pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, including I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase such as they stutter I, or as I just did, this means, and at the end of the meeting, I will report on the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Alison. The next role is the watcher, and the watcher today is Traca Savadogo.
Hi, everybody. I will be watching for online behavior, things that are a little bit wonky, and also looking for all the good stuff that's going on. Jim, I see you with the background you're using now. That's awesome. I see you. And at the end of the meeting, we'll be reviewing things. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Traca. The next role is the chat monitor, and the person has a double role today, chat monitor and vote counter. Andre, can you explain your roles?
Yes, certainly, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Carolina. Yes, hello, fellow line presenters and most welcome guests. I'm Andre, and I'm your vote counter and chat monitor, doing double role. Vote counter, we vote for the best speaker, for best table topics, and evaluator. And I will be using a technology tool designed by our glorious David Carr. So in the chat, I placed the link, follow that link, and cast your votes for the best speech you will get. The other part of my role is chat monitor. I love that role because I get to see what's going on in the chat, interesting and naughty things as well. And I will report briefly at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Andre. Let's continue with prepared speeches. The first speaker is working in the innovative planning path, project 4, building skills. She's going to tell us about her experience planning her project. The title, Cost Management Course, A New Perspective. Let's welcome Elena Sandoval with a round of applause.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Today, my speech is a story about my experience that I live along of the planning of my new project, that is to launch an online course that I presented in the last session. Do you remember? Well, now let me take you in a journey of a typical project life cycle. In the intake phase is where all the insight and idea emerge. And the first that came to is that we call, in this phase, we call conceptualization. The first that came to my mind when I just started to plan everything, it was the market needs. I can stand out to attract my audience, to combine my strength with the audience preference, to differentiate from others, to be profitable on the online business. So thinking about my business environment, this actual economic storm requires a lot of knowledge and capability to take the right decision, driving by approaches to ensure that your investment will be paid off. So, someone versed into the innovative cost management system, I've implemented successful innovative cost management
complex projects and in the global energy organizations. And my experience have led me to conclude that relying only on the standard accounting management system, that, by the way, is the more used and the more typical training course on the market, may not be the optimal decision for maximizing value, particularly in time of uncertainty. Based on that, I saw an interesting opportunity to offer training using all these strategic approaches to differentiate from others, those approaches based on to reduce the waste and boost the strategic business position. So afterward, I put all my ideas on the conceptualization stage. I move to the other phase, that is planning. So I follow the typical guideline for planification of the project. First, I set up the deliverables. That in my case will be an online course and content comprises by videos, text, or combination of both. Also, I will estimate my resources. But here, let me stop a little bit, because it's where I have the major headache. Well, the first question that I had was, what will be my minimal infrastructure for an online course? And of course, should be a reliable internet, as a consequence, a reliable energy. Oh my God, but I live in Venezuela. The public service is a total disaster. In fact, part of our daily life is having a power outage. And the connectivity of the internet is a total chaos. Sometimes it's so fast, sometimes it's so slow, sometimes there is any. So, how I solved it? Well, with a solution of the backup. In case of the internet, I purchased another chip to have two internet providers. And in case of the energy, I found a home battery storage. And in the worst case, maybe the candlelight. Don't worry, it's only to illuminate the screen. So the other resources that I will need is people. Okay, it's online course. I will need an expert in social media, an expert that help me with the graphication to headline all my content in the social media. And also I will need an expert also in cost management to help me to design and provide the courses. Okay, finally I designed my team. But also I will need a content management system. Here it was another response, because there are millions of applications and platforms and all made the same things with different pros and cons. But after reading all these articles, recommendations with pros and cons, I decided to choose the WordPress, because they offer in their subscription plan by free a lot of features where I came to design a minimal market product to quickly launch my content with minimal investment, and the most important, gain to early feedback and reduce the project cost risk. So what is the other part of what is the other task in the planification? Your budget. This is very important, because your budget will come after you understand all these activities and tasks. And the most important, you can understand how your business environment works. So you can estimate all your resources. But what is the lesson learned in my journey? Whatever your ideas are, to become successful business, it's important to spend time in the conceptualization, because you can understand the real needs of the market and the constraint to plan one mitigation actions to maximize your strengths. And wherever your ideas will be implemented, never give up, because you only need to have a cup. So good luck, and thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Lena, for sharing your business planning with us. I wish you the best of luck. Miss Timer, how did our speakers do regarding time management? Sunny, you are muted.
Only had one speaker so far, correct? Elena is 8:19, and so she went over time. We have not gotten to speaker 2.
Yes, you're right. Thank you, Sunny. Our second speaker is working in the dynamic leadership path and the project Writing a Speech with Purpose. She has experienced a powerful transformation through her Toastmasters journey. Today, she'll share how setting goals and tapping into the signs of growth have changed her life. Let's welcome Teresa Savadogo with a round of applause.
Hello. I wonder if you remember when you started your Toastmaster journey. Maybe you were a bit like me. I spent the first 6 months just watching, paying attention, trying to get to know the people in my club, understand the cadence and the agenda and how things work. And then I took a small role and I decided I'm going to do this every single meeting until I get good at it. Because task switching, sometimes I lose my brain and I can't think as well. So I'm like, I'm just going to focus on this one thing and get good at it. And that turned out to be the thing that unlocked my entire world. And I started scheduling myself for speeches. And then the more I did speeches, the more confident I grew. And I just kept getting better and better and better. I'd try new technology. I'd start experimenting with things. I started joining more clubs so I could speak more often. And I was like, what is happening to me? I don't get it. I have so much momentum and it's so powerful. Suddenly it was no longer about just being in a pathway. It was having a transformational moment for me. And so I started looking into the brain science. One of the things that was propelling me forward was being in the state of flow. I would lose time and I would start thinking about, what my next speeches would be. What did I want to talk about? How could I get better? Could I find a class? Could I find a training? I would spend hours learning about the craft of speaking and learning how Toastmasters works. It takes a little bit of an investment in time as well. And what I learned in the process of doing all of this was I was laying down new neural pathways in my brain. I was physically changing the structure of my brain. And it was so exciting because it propelled me forward. I was no longer sitting on the sidelines watching things. I was part of the growth and the momentum. And that had a profound impact. And what was really interesting is my friends started getting in on the action. They're like, what are you up to? You're different now. I'm like, yes, intentionally. And it was so exciting to see them starting to pick up the pace too. And I just wanted to share with you a little something that I did that seems to be a little bit different. I'm going to share a slide here real quick. At some point, I decided I'm just going to join more clubs and speak more often. This is what my schedule has looked like since May. I attend a Toastmaster meeting every single day of the week. And if I'm really good at scheduling things, sometimes I actually speak almost every day. And what that did is it kept the cycle of nerves at bay. I would go from one speech to another, and I wouldn't have to get into that nerve-wracking space that I knew so well. And the other thing is, so this is what my calendar looks like so far from 2024. I started at my home club speaking every other week. And then I picked up the pace and I was like, this is going to take forever to get through a pathway. And so you'll see in June, I got challenged to do an entire level 1 in a month because it was coming up on the end and we need, one of my clubs needed the credit. And I was like, oh, I think I could do that. And then it's like, oh my gosh, look what I can do. This is amazing. And I started seeing all these results. And so just this week, I don't know if you've noticed, I gave a speech on Monday, last Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, today, and I've got another one on Monday or on Wednesday. And so, yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's crazy. But what's been happening for me is this huge transformation that I've just leaned into, and I'm having like the best time ever. And what's been very interesting is showing other people this model that I came up with for myself. And I get so much pushback on it. They're like, do you have a life? What are you doing? I even had somebody last week who gave me some pushback, and he said, my presentation had, no joke, he said this to me, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That was the feedback that I got on my speech. You know what I did? I'm like, thank you very much. I reworked my speech. I gave it again the next day, and I gave it again the day after that, and the day after that. I was like, I don't have to sit with those negative feelings. I can actually do something about it. And that is a game changer for how I'm approaching challenges in life. That is changing the entire dynamic of how I've operated my entire life. I'm actually like, okay, I hear your feedback. I got better at accepting feedback, and I got better at responding to it, no matter how it was delivered. Yes, it should have been better. But, you know, the incredible thing is now I can actually receive feedback in a way that I was really challenged to receive it my whole life. And so there's been so many things that have transformed in my life as a result of like picking up the pace, getting more reps in. It's been super exciting. And I wanted to share that with you. So thank you so much, everybody. Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for sharing your process and resilience in your path as a Toastmaster. Ms. Timer, can you give me the complete report now?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. The complete report is Elena Sandoval, time of 8 minutes and 19 seconds, so she was over time. Speaker 2, Traca Savadogo, 6 minutes and 21 seconds. She qualifies.
Thank you very much. Time management is very important for leaders and for Toastmasters. We have a winner, Traca Savadogo. Congratulations. Now it's time for everyone to speak, or maybe everyone will have the opportunity. Maybe you can raise your hand. I don't know, but we have a person in charge of the next section, the table topics section, and the table topics master is Jim Barber. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And no, I will not be asking for volunteers. That is not the way that I run table topics. You are going to be voluntold who is going to be presenting this evening, who is going to give their brief presentations. For the purposes of any guests that we might have who are not familiar with table topics, this is an exercise in extemporaneous speaking in which you do not know who is going to be called on and what you are going to be asked. For anybody that may have short-term memory problems among our experienced Toastmasters, table topics timing is from 1 to 2 minutes. So please fall within, if at all possible, fall within that time frame. Most of the table topics questions that I will be asking will follow the theme and word of the day of motivation and excitement. And so let's see what we can do with those. Let's start with the question, if your safety could be guaranteed, now this is important, if your safety could be guaranteed and cost was not a concern, describe your ultimate exciting vacation. Graham.
Toastmaster Jim, friends, I somehow knew that question was going to come to me because I'm a traveler. I love traveling. I've just returned from going to the United States and thoroughly enjoyed it. Although I will tell you, I did come down with COVID in the middle of it, and that's not something that I wanted to do. That wasn't safe. That wasn't very exciting at all. But since I was around about 5 years old, my primary reading material has been science fiction. Now, some of it has been hard science fiction based in physics, things like, for example, Andy Weir's The Martian. Some of it has been soft science fiction, fantasy, and the stories of the Dragon Riders of Pern, for example. But always it has been about leaving where I am, going somewhere else, and experiencing something that I cannot experience in my normal life. I don't know about you. I find that books are the greatest form of travel. They allow me to travel anywhere, any when, and they allow me to expand my horizons without ever having to physically leave my room. One of the things I like about Zoom meetings, for example, is that I'm sitting here wearing a pair of shorts, but you don't know that. I could be wearing a suit and tie and then only in my underpants below, in which case I would be reading the news in briefs. Ba-boom, tish. No, fun. But seriously, the thing if I could travel anywhere or any when, it would be through my trusty Kindle. It would be through the Dead Tree Edition books that are beside me. I would just continue to travel as often and as far as I can. Topics Master.
Thank you, Graham. All right, let's move from excitement to motivation. When you're having a bad day, and I think everybody has a bad day every now and then, when you're having a bad day, what motivates you to keep on going? And let's go for Carolina.
Uy, you caught me by surprise. What motivates me to keep going? The experience, the past experiences, I would say, because in the past, when I gave up, I had more problems, money problems, or awkward situations, etc. So when I'm having problems and I want to give up and I don't want to continue, I say, if I have this this behavior, I'm going to have more problems that the problems I have now. So I have to continue, I have to put more effort, and I have to do my best in order to find a solution for what I'm suffering. And that is what motivates me. Maybe it's not so beautiful, but the past experience is what keep me moving and finding solutions actively. Back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Carolina. And now let's go back to exciting again. What's the most exciting experience you've ever had? Sherry Blake.
Thank you so much for that question. Oh my gosh, the most exciting experience I ever had. The most exciting experience I've ever had was, well, there's many. So I'm going to talk about, okay, so it's this experience where I went on a cruise. I went on a cruise with my mother to the Mediterranean. And it was a long time in my life where I wouldn't fly. And I was flying a lot for work. And one day I sat back and said, you know what? You need to start flying for yourself, going on great vacations with your mother. She's a travel agent. She has a travel business. So I decided to do that. So we went on a cruise to the Mediterranean. And this was exciting and interesting. So I have a friend named George Smith. And on the cruise, the captain kept paging someone named George Smith. And I said to my mom, jokingly, oh, I didn't know George was on this cruise. And if you know anything about a cruise, to be able to leave the cruise, you have to kind of check out with your key pass card. So they'll know that you're gone. And then when you get back on, you have to check back on. So this person, George Smith, never left the ship, but he never responded to the captain. And so what happened was this person fell off the ship. And that was the sad part about it. But what made this more exciting was that my brother at the time worked for a television station, and some of the producers were combing through a paper and they saw the story, and my brother told them that I was on the cruise and they wanted to interview me and see my video footage. That's what made that exciting. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Sherry. All right. I'm going to change from my normal thing of asking the question first and then asking the person. Allison, I believe technically you are still a guest. Is that true? Okay,
Yes,
so
for about
you
2 more weeks.
You do not get voluntold. You get to be asked if you want to volunteer. Would you like to have a table topics question?
Yes,
You would.
Table Topics Master.
Very good. I will remind you that we are looking for a 1 to 2 minute response, and you can see the timer up in the upper left-hand corner. Very good. All right, here is your question then. What is the most exciting book you've read or movie you have seen?
Wow. Table Topics Master. You have presented me a very difficult and challenging question, because in the last 30 years, I've read probably well over 1,500 books. If I had to, and most of them are nonfiction, if I had to pin it down to one book, it's a life-changing book by a lady named Sarah Knight. And I apologize because the title of this book is called The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Flip, but the other foul word. This book presented to me a new view on life, because you only have so much time during the day, and there's only so many things you can care about. And she called it spending your F bucks. And she talked about there are things in life that matter and things in life that do not matter. And that book alone completely opened my eyes and changed my view of the world. And it changed my attitude on how I approach things and how I see challenges that approach me or I'm presented with daily. For example, there are some things, if I have friends that want to do things or invite me to go out, and I have to decide where I want to spend my F-bucks at. And do I want to put it here or do I want to put it there? And I've learned by that to manage my time better. And then there are just things that you have to be honest with yourself and say, I just don't care. That does not interest me. It's not my problem. It doesn't bother me. So I could probably talk a 30-minute or a 7-minute speech on movies and books, but that is my answer, Table Topics Master. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Allison. And that was within 1 to 2 minutes. So very well done. Thank you. All right. Madam Toastmaster, we're doing okay on time, I believe. All right, such a deal. Let's do a couple more then. Let's go with, okay, what do you think? We'll go back to motivation. What do you think is the better motivator? Praise and recognition or money? Let's go with Andre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master. What's the best motivation, praise and recognition, or money? Money. Every time is the money. Of course. Well, you can praise and recognize people, you can stroke them on their head, but then again, if they want to go on holidays, if they want to buy an expensive dress for their wife, or nice suit for their husband, or the latest PlayStation 4 for their children, it doesn't matter how much you praise them. It makes no difference how sweet your voice will be. If they don't get those valuable things in their life, all your efforts will be wasted. So money, every single time. When you have a dilemma, I think in my life, when I'm trying to motivate my children to get up early in the morning, get themselves dressed, make a cup of tea, and go to college and school, yes, I can spend hours giving them Tony Robbins, all that style motivational speeches. Yes, 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 you can do it. But then again, increasing their weekly allowance does the magic trick. Every single time. I know we all live with money. Some people despise them from what I've heard. Me, no. I just love them because they can really spare me time talking for long, long hours and describing how people good or how people amazing to me. Well, I would rather go to the shop and just get one bunch of flowers for my girlfriend, for example, and just give it to her. I would take my friend out for a meal and just pay for the meal and get that affection and time with them. And perhaps I could treat myself as well to something nice and new. Money to me, most of the time. Back to you, Jim.
And thank you, Andre. All right. Okay, we still have time? We do. All right, then let's move forward to this one. Oh, let's go for a guest again. Mitesh, are you still here?
I'm here.
Cool. Would you like to participate in table topics?
Yes, please.
All righty, you got it then. So Mitesh, let's see. What is something that you would like to do, but you haven't been able to build up the motivation? A reminder, 1 to 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, something I would like to do, which I have not felt motivated. It's not very, it's not a question of motivation for me. It's a question of having the ability to do it, because some things, as you are aware, like you need to be qualified and you need to have certain amount of academic grades to do it, and whatnot, because we are living in a competitive and modern world. So one thing I um, wanted to do, which I could not do, was I wanted to become a professional tennis player, a lawn tennis player, which I could not achieve. This is due to my inability in my childhood, because from the age of 2, I was an epileptic patient. So I have not seen a very like joyful childhood for me. For me, childhood was all about um, getting up in the middle of the night, my mom carrying me to the hospital, and I had to take intravenous injections for my epilepsy seizures. So this is something I regret not to become. So this is something I missed out on. Over to you, topic master.
Thank you, Mitesh. Nicely done. Thank you. All right. I think we've got time for one more. Let's do it. Oh, a serious one. How do you motivate volunteers? We said that money was the great motivator, but volunteers, there's no money involved. So how do you motivate volunteers? And I want to hear what Kirthika has to say about that.
Thank you for asking this, Jim. How do I motivate volunteers? Volunteers are of two types according to the organization that we work with. One is with a non-profit organization. Here, we come together to learn and grow. The other type of volunteering group is in an organization, in a corporate environment. Motivating both of the volunteers is of completely different. This side, on a non-profit organization, you tend to give them, empower them, and then ask them to lead. But on the other side, in a corporate environment, they will have to empower themselves and establish their own goals and achieve what is required in the particular environmental setup. I would say encouraging them lies by the fact of walking through the way that you lead your disciples. Yearning disciples is like you give them the confidence, you provide them the required level of comfort zone, and ask them to participate in every other activity that you can take forward. This is the first step, and motivating them is like a kind of taking care of a baby. I think it's all about giving them the space and asking them to take the role on their own. This is how I motivate my own volunteers who work for me and for the organization as well. Over to you, Jim Barber.
Very good. Thank you, Kirthika. Madam Toastmaster, do we have time for one more? Was that a yes? That is a no. In that case, we are finished. I would ask the timer to please, timer Sunny, did everybody qualify?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Table Topics Master, everyone qualified.
And I see the times in the chat now. Thank you very much. If you would please, when you get the opportunity, cast your vote for the best table topics response this evening. And while you are doing that, I will return control to our Toastmaster de jour, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Jim, for your questions. Very entertaining, this section. Thanks to you. And it's now to receive receive feedback. Feedback is a gift, and we have a person who is going to conduct this section, the general evaluator. Please welcome Graham Kearns.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. As Carolina mentioned, feedback is a gift, and feedback is the most important part, I believe, of a Toastmasters meeting. Yes, we all get the chance to speak, either in a prepared sense or extemporaneously. But if we don't get feedback, if we don't get evaluation, then we might as well just be flapping our gums. There is no point to this. And so my role as general evaluator tonight will be to call upon the formal evaluations, also to provide an evaluation of the Toastmasters role tonight. That's something that the general evaluator always does, but I've been given a task to do something specific tonight, and then to give feedback on the whole of the meeting. So we'll begin with the individual evaluators. We had two formal presentations today, and the first of those is to be evaluated by our first evaluator, and that's Ruth Ellen. Ruth Ellen, can you please provide, in a time of 2 to 3 minutes with indications at 2, 2.5 and 3 minutes, can you please provide your evaluation of our first speaker this evening? Ruth Ellen.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Have you ever launched an online course? Elena presented her presentation today, and it was all about launching an online course, building one. And so in this evaluation, I'm going to break down my observations, give my gift, so that you can hear my thoughts and ideas, but just like a gift, you can return it. I'm going to give the receipt to Elena so that Elena can return it whenever she wants to. So the format I'm going to be going over is gestures, language, organization, visual aid, and engagement. It's called the glove technique. It's just a way for me to structure the way I'm delivering this right now. So gestures wise, did you remember Elena looking directly in the screen, eyes wide, like Elena was directly talking to you? Really powerful way to engage the audience. And that's probably one of my first recommendations. Brilliant use of eye contact, brilliant use of gesturing. There were some hand movements as well, but definitely the eyes spoke much more than anything else throughout Elena's presentation. Language. Now, does anyone remember the 3 areas that Elena used? If you do, put 1 in the chat, and if you do remember them, bonus points, put 3 of the areas, if you do. And that's my first recommendation, actually. When we're doing presentations, sometimes it's really great to be able to solidify 3 key points. The power of 3 is amazing. And so Elena could have amplified the presentation by saying, actually, I'm going to be talking about conceptualization, planning, and budget. Could have turned it into an acronym, could have turned it into an icon. But either way, it just helps bring everything together. What I loved about the organization is on the screen, you saw exactly what Elena was going to be talking about. You saw it because it was there visually. And Elena broke it down. And that goes to the visual aids. In terms of engagement, the only thing I would say to ensure improving engagement is ask questions. Change the top of the hour, the top of the presentation. Instead of saying, hi, everyone, try, have you ever launched an online course? Instead of saying bye, saying, now you can go launch your online course. It just wraps it up. And so gesture-wise, spot on, great use of language, maybe using some anchoring, power-free, great use of organization. Nice visual aids, definitely can see different ways to do that. But what I really loved is the engagement piece. Elena, you've got the power of the eyes. Keep going with your presentation. Keep going with the way that you deliver. The only thing that I think we want to see more of is you. So thank you so much.
And thank you, Ruth Ellen, for that comprehensive evaluation of Elena's presentation tonight. Our second speaker, of course, was Traca, and the evaluation is to be provided by Andrew Byrne. Dr. Andy, are you right to rock and roll for a period of 2 to 3 minutes, please?
Thank you very much, Graham. I'll be very pleased to share what I saw, what I heard, and how did it make me feel as I listened to Trace's speech. I related to Trace's speech because she spoke to all of us. She dealt with the problem of, I want to reach a specific goal. How do I do that? In the shortest amount of time. Not everybody has the patience of Solomon to say, I'm going to reach that goal in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 25 years. She wanted it, and she wanted it now. And she looked at the math and looked at it from her left side of the brain and said, I have to do so many projects in a period of time. What gets me there most rapidly? And she decided that the most rapid thing that she could do to increase her confidence, increase her ability to speak, increase her fundamental enjoyment would be to speak every day or more than once a day. How do you do that? Most clubs don't have that much space to do those things. But she came up with the brilliant idea of, I'll belong to multiple clubs. Many of us have come across that idea as well. Certainly Graham has belonged to 8 clubs at one time. I cut it off at 5. But the point is that if you want to feel comfortable speaking, you have to do it regularly. And it comes down to other examples. If you want to be a pianist, the best way of improving yourself is to practice every day or more than once a day. When I started my piano exposure as a little kid, thanks to my parents, I was on the piano hours a day, every day, to get better. Tracy made that discovery for herself, and she gave a call to action to all of us. If you have this issue that you're scared of speaking, or if you want to feel better while you're speaking, speak every day. And this is the way of doing it. She gave the call to action and she laid out the plans. Back to you, Graham.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I'm going to provide a third evaluation now, and this is an evaluation of the Toastmaster of the evening, because the Toastmaster tonight has chosen to use a specific project that she is being asked to evaluate. And that specific project is to manage an online meeting. Now, I know that we are encouraged to always use every opportunity to claim a speech, if you like, for the Distinguished Club program, to get it evaluated according to one of the criteria of one of the Toastmasters projects. And one of the things that is often encouraged is, if you are Toastmaster of the meeting, you are asked to, well, perhaps you might consider using the Manage an Online Meeting. And that's fine and well as far as it goes, but I would say that there are some specific objectives in the Manage Online Meetings project that we are asked to meet, which a conventional Toastmasters meeting does not achieve. For example, we are asked specifically to look at disseminating information to attendees at the session or facilitating a discussion. This project does not lend itself to being the Toastmaster of the meeting. But I will say that with that caveat, I think that Carolina did particularly well tonight. She kept control of the meeting. She kept control of the timing. She kept control of the technology. And there were some technological hitches that happened during the meeting, but she didn't let those phase her or phase us. So some of my observations. A good comprehensive introduction and a really warm and welcoming persona. Part of the job of the Toastmaster of the day, part of the job of facilitating an online meeting is to provide the framework for that meeting, to be warm, to be welcoming, to be friendly. And Carolina did that exceptionally well this evening. She introduced the ancillary roles really well. And that was always good, because we have some people here who are not members of Toastmasters or who are not familiar with our particular club's operating structure. And so they needed to know what our ancillary people were going to be doing. But I would say that we were 5 minutes behind time when we hit the first speaker. And so that's something that we need to keep an eye on. As it turns out, it didn't become a drama because we hit the table topics ahead of time and could even have had one more at the end, but I'm glad that we didn't. If I can make one suggestion for not just Carolina, but for all Toastmasters, I would suggest that calling on the evaluator to outline the objectives of each presentation before the speaker would be a good thing, because one of the things that does is it makes sure that the speakers or the evaluators know what they are supposed to be evaluating. And I'll get to that when I get to the individual evaluations of the evaluators, which I'm now going to move on to in a few seconds. But Carolina, an excellent job. As I say, given the caveat that there are some objectives that you simply cannot achieve with this project as the Toastmaster of a meeting, I think you did particularly well. So congratulations to you. Now, moving to the evaluations themselves. And we had two formal evaluations here this evening. And the first of those we had, of course, was from Ruth Ellen. Now, Ruth Ellen used the glove technique. That's the GLOVE. And I love the glove technique in a evaluation speech contest, for example, because it gives an evaluator a chance to go beyond just the good point, bad point, good point, well done. It gives the evaluator a chance to expand upon that. But the one thing that the glove technique does not do is actually address the objectives of the speech. For example, we know that Elena was doing innovative planning, level 4 building skills. But which project was it that she was doing in that path and on that level? We don't know, so therefore we don't know whether Elena met the objectives that Toastmasters has set for her and that she may have set for herself. So again, when you're doing an evaluation, and this not just for Ruth Ellen, but for everybody, bear in mind that each project that we do in Toastmasters has a specific objective. That's why we're in Toastmasters rather than in let's all stand around and chat group, because this is a structured program. So I give that to you as a word of advice. Andrew chose to use I statements, and I love I statements in an evaluation because after all is said and done, every evaluation is about the individual. And so choosing I statements is a really good way of doing it. Speaking, for example, about the practice that he did as a kid learning piano and how that daily practice helped build his skills, I thought worked well with what Traca had said during her presentation. But if I can make a suggestion to Andrew and to everybody, consider what Ruth Ellen did. She had a really structured presentation. She had point, she had point, she had point, she had summary. So we knew exactly where we were. We weren't quite sure where we were going, or at least I wasn't quite sure where we were going with Andrew. So point, point, point is good. Now, moving on to my evaluation of the rest of the meeting, I'm going to call on the ancillary roles because I'm going to provide some feedback to each of those speakers as well. But before I do, the two evaluators that we have, the two formal evaluators that we have, can I get a timer's report on those, please? Sunny, did they both qualify?
Yes, both speakers qualified. The information is in the chat.
Fabulous, in which case you can vote for the best evaluator for this evening as well. And I would urge you to do so because we're not competitive souls, but yes, we are. So please vote for the best evaluator. Now, moving on to the ancillary roles this evening, I need to bring up my agenda so I know where I am. First up, we have the grammarian's role. So no, the grammarian can come up last because others have got a chance to speak yet. Can I find out from the R counter? How did we go with the oohs, the ahs, and all those sorts of things this evening? Alison.
The ahs and ums. Okay, I have to start. This is my first official role, Madam Toastmaster of the Day and General Evaluator. And doing so, I should have warned about my past really quick. And in that, for several years, I was an auditor at a telemarketing company. And I was the strictest auditor that they had. I caught everything. the agents would complain and they never knew my name. They only knew my initials, and they would complain about this person, and that was me. So for a total of, there's about 12 different ums, and being the first time going through, they were all through the meeting. Andre, I picked up 2 from you early on that were very slight. One for myself just now. David Carr, I picked up 1 in one of the speeches. I picked up a couple from the guests that I'm not really counting. Elena had 2, and Traca had 1. So that is my first recap.
Well done. Congratulations, Alison. And thank you for taking on that role. Now, who was our watcher tonight? I know we will have a watcher, I believe. Do we have a watcher? I don't see a watcher. Ah, yes, Traca, you are our watcher.
Yes. Hello. Yes, everybody did great. My internet's a bit unstable, and so what's interesting is when that happens, I'll lose a lot of the images are the first thing to go. So I don't know how the quality of mine is, but also the one thing that I would say, Joni, I really love the way that you added the vocabulary slide and have that as a separate slide. That's a pro move right there for sure. I love it so much. And I also really love how you are super diligent with renaming everybody. I know for me, it helps me orient to all the different roles, but we have quite a few new people here today. And so I'm sure they appreciate that as well. I also really appreciate the folks that took a moment to add extra clarity. Like, we know where we're going with the agenda, but other folks may not. And they put some extra emphasis on teachable moments. So Ruth Ellen is particularly skillful about talking about a teachable moment, about what the skill is that she's elaborating on, as well as Graham. And so I think that's that educational component that helps get everybody up to speed is really lovely. My one comment, I put a slide in the chat here. I'm just going to go ahead and send it. And Elena, you had a little bit of an issue with this big black space and your slides and how that showed up. And then also grass as your background wasn't as powerful as it could have been for your presentation. It didn't seem like it was in alignment with the subject matter. So consider changing your background so that it's consistent with the professional that you intend to be. And I'll turn it back to you, Graham. Thanks.
Thank you, Traca. Our chat monitor for tonight. Now, the chat monitor for our guests is something that's almost exclusive to this club. It's an opportunity to keep an eye on the chat. Any observations tonight, Andre?
Oh, yes, I've been keeping my eyes closely on the chat, and it was all about motivation, inspiration, happiness, and money. Jim Barber, for example, mentioned that fear is the great motivator. So as poverty. Alison Blackman mentioned that money is neither good or bad. Money is a tool. It is how you use it. And of course, my personal favorite in the chat for today about motivation, Johnny Laidlaw said, can't eat praise and recognition, talking about money. And overall, with that in mind, I'll pass it back on to you, Graham.
Thank you, Andre. We'll get to the votes from you in just a minute. But before we do, our grammarians report from Joni.
Just to emphasize for everyone, the word of today was excitement. Kudos to the person who used it the most, Jim Barber, but that works when you incorporate them into your table topics question. That's a good trick for anybody who wants to use the word of the day the most. But I did hear it from David and Sherry, and there was a missed opportunity from Traca through her speech because I could see the excitement on her face when she spoke about speaking and getting in flow, but she missed the opportunity to actually use the word of the day. Now, for grammar that I really liked, Elena, have a backup. That's very important. Traca, being in a state of flow. I loved that one as well. And for David, it wasn't something that needs to be corrected, but I think we need to come with a general phrase, because if it's one thing that technology knows how to do, it's embarrass you. But overall, we had great use of language. Back to you, our general evaluator.
Thank you, Joni. I'll call for the vote counter now to give us a report on our votes for this evening.
It's in the chat, Graham.
It's in the chat. And it says best speaker, Tracer, best table topic, Sherry, and best evaluator, Andy Byrne. Well done. Congratulations to all of you. All right, as general evaluator, I just have a few more observations I wanted to make. And one is that I thought the tip of the day from David was quite well presented, but to err is human, to really foul things up, takes a computer, throw the internet in, and it really does it. Jim's choice of topics I thought were good. They were challenging, but not insurmountable. I note, however, there is no topics evaluator, and perhaps we should occasionally add that into our agenda to help develop extemporaneous skills. For example, we could advise topic speakers to choose a strategy: past, present, future, prep, point, reason, example, point, tell them. We don't actually get a chance to provide that sort of feedback to our table topics participants. And since there is a table topics competition, which is run in most of our home districts, that might well be worthwhile. I thought this was a great meeting. As general evaluator, I thank everybody for your contributions today. And I now hand control back to our Toastmaster for the evening, who can then hand the control over to the president. But Carolina, it's all yours. Well done. You did well.
Thank you very much, Graham. I return the meeting to our Vice President of Education to close the meeting, Joni Laidlaw.
Thank you, everyone, for a great meeting. So at this point, I will now adjourn our meeting.